VR is an empathy machine, and it allows you to really put yourself in someone's shoes. Hey folks, Mario here from TAR. We're an agency that develops cutting-edge software for clients. AR, VR, AI, basically anything that's really hard to explain to your grandma. Today, I saw a meme, and I decided to make a YouTube channel. Fun fact about me, I sometimes make questionable life choices. However, the meme was quite interesting. It was this. To be fair, it's not really a meme, more just a post, but nevertheless, it is interesting. The post shows an actual courtroom hearing that took place in Florida, which used VR to show the scene of the potential crime. And although at first glance it might look a bit silly, I'm here to tell you why it was actually pretty genius. Yup, we got virtual reality in courtrooms before we got flying cars. So, let's talk about what went down, why it's a big deal, and of course, what other use cases we could be seeing for VR in the courtroom. Now, the trial was actually a stand your ground case where the VR headset was used by the defense to better understand the defendant, Miguel Albizu, who is accused of assault after he decided to pull out his gun at a wedding venue.
And so I pull out my gun?
A lot of you might be thinking, why not just show a video or 3D recreation? I'll tell you why not, because it's worse. You see, at TAR we have created hundreds of VR projects and applications, and there are a whole lot of benefits that can be gained. In this video, I will be going through some of the benefits that were true for this specific use case, as well as some of the benefits of VR in the courtroom in general. So, let's dive right in. Number one, you can feel physical proximity. Have you ever been in a situation where you're standing in an elevator in some kind of a crammed public transport space and you felt uncomfortable? Well, if you haven't, you should leave your room every once in a while. If you have, congratulations, you're a normal human being. As humans, we tend to feel quite uneasy when someone enters our personal space. And for this exact reason, I think the decision to use VR by the defense is an absolute home run. VR, in fact, is the only technology that makes you physically uncomfortable when someone enters your personal space. It kind of tricks the brain into believing someone is actually close to you. In fact, it can be so immersive that in a lot of applications we develop, we implemented these things called personal space bubbles, where other people cannot get too close to you to avoid you feeling uneasy. I think that now you can much more easily understand why the defense chose VR. It managed to convey that feeling of uneasiness that the defendant might have been feeling, and it conveyed that to the judge and it conveyed it to the jury. At the moment that they put on their VR headsets, they felt as uneasy as Mr. Albizu did when he pulled out his gun.
And so I pull out my gun?
We've previously worked on some projects where this was the absolute crucial element. Being able to feel people being close to you or seeing the space in its true scale can make all the difference. Just imagine seeing something like the interior of the Sistine Chapel in person, and then imagine seeing it on a 2D video. You just don't get the sense of what is near and what is far. You can't truly understand the scale of objects or spaces without experiencing the depth of objects. Proximity also has a very big impact on the atmosphere of a place. It can feel grand, like the aforementioned Sistine Chapel, but a space could also feel small and claustrophobic, like a mine shaft or a dimly lit elevator, for example. This brings us to the second reason why using VR in courtrooms is a great idea: the atmosphere. The atmosphere of a space can best be defined as the sum total of all the different elements that can be perceived by our senses at any moment of inhabiting a space. It takes into account a variety of things, from lighting to smell to size of the space, the music, and much, much, much more. Just remember, anytime you've been sitting in your room and you've turned on the light, or you've opened a window or pulled up your window blinds, and you've just seen kind of an emotional change go over you. It's very, very powerful in the way that we perceive things and in the way that we kind of feel the space around us. This is another thing that the defense in this case could have used to its advantage. Now, I don't know the specifics of the app or the case, but I do hope they have used this. Now, just imagine if they had dimmed the lights to have a more tense song play during this entire ordeal. It would have made a massive, massive difference. You can almost feel how having a tense atmosphere in a dimly lit room with a lot of sounds and noise would make you much more prone to emotional reactions than for example, if the room is well lit and there are calming meditation sounds playing. Now, we cannot know what the lighting was or which songs played at the wedding venue, but I would recommend that whoever does this experience in the future pays particular attention to these. Audio also plays a major role. It's not the same if you hear sounds coming from one speaker on the TV or if you hear someone yelling right in front of you, especially if you can hear it from 4 or 5 different people, like in this case. In VR development, we call this spatial audio, where the audio source plays from a certain position. So imagine if we put 5 different people with 5 different audio sources, of course, right in front of you, and then you hear kind of all of this noise coming to you from all over the place. It's different, and it hits different in a way. So it makes you feel a different type of feeling, which of course is all relevant to this, as the person in this case reacted very emotionally by pulling out his gun.
And so I pull out my gun.
What I'm trying to say is the people in the courtroom could empathize with Mr. Albisu much, much, much more once they are aware of the atmosphere in which he found himself in the time of pulling out his weapon. This is where the first 2 points really hit on. Empathy. VR is an empathy machine, and it allows you to really put yourself in someone's shoes. I remember watching a short VR documentary called Surviving 9/11 about a woman who was trapped below the ruins of the Twin Towers during the tragedy. I would highly recommend for anyone with a VR headset to watch this, as you can really, really feel the empathy and connection to this woman and what she was going through in a horrific situation like that. And I think you can do that with VR, and you cannot do that with any other type of media right now available. However, there are other benefits to VR apart from just empathizing with the defendant. Tools that VR can bring that can enhance the objective analysis of a specific situation. This brings us to our final point on why VR was a good choice. You can analyze the situation better. You see, while VR gives you the ability to put yourself in the shoes of the person going through this, it also allows you to analyze the situation from different angles and during different times. You can play it back slower, you can go faster, which I have seen them do. This gets a little seal of approval from our side. Now, they could have also added additional analysis tools and elements. I'm not blaming them that they didn't. I'm just saying it could have gone a bit better. For example, they could have shown the names of the people once the user pointed at their head or at them. They could have also used a MetaQuest Pro or Apple Vision Pro, and then if a user would just stare or look at a certain element or person, they could see more information about them, which would have been a nice touch. But as I said, I completely understand, because for this specific use case, I believe what they had done was enough. Another small complaint that I have is about the graphics fidelity. I do understand this was the MetaQuest 2 that they were working with, which is, let's say, the lowest Meta headset kind of available in terms of graphics. However, this could have been done much, much better. At least they could have baked the environment. We've done a lot of projects on the MetaQuest 2, and believe me, all of them look better than whatever this is. But as I said, for this specific use case, maybe the graphical fidelity didn't matter that much to them. Although, Every single element brings something to the atmosphere and the feeling of the space. I believe a situation where someone might be harmed or their liberties might be taken away requires a level of professionalism and realism when it comes to the graphical fidelity. But as I said, this is probably just the first step in VR, and I'm just grateful for the company and the defense to have included VR in their proceedings. Now that we've seen this specific use case, let's turn more towards how VR can be used in the justice system more broadly, and why I believe we will be seeing many more situations like this in the future. But first, it's ad time. This video was brought to you by NordVPN. I'm just kidding. It's our first video, so we're sponsoring it ourselves, of course. Someday we will get NordVPN though, and then I may buy an actual camera instead of recording this with my phone. Now let's roll the ads. At Star, we have created some of the best AR, VR, and metaverse experiences. We have worked with major brands such as Ford, Microsoft, Best Buy, and many, many more to bring immersive experiences to more and more people. And for this, we have been recognized by a whole boatload of awards and accolades, from Clutch Awards to the nominations by the prestigious AI XR Awards. What makes us unique is that we use a combination of consulting and development. We know that navigating the immersive space can be hard for companies. This is why we are committed to providing our clients with a full white glove experience, where we lead them through the entire development process. For more information, reach out to us on our website. Now, let's continue with the video. To be clear, the list of how VR can be used in legal situations and in the courtroom is long and deserves a video on its own. However, here are just some of the ways in which it could be used apart from this use case. Number one, it could help witnesses better remember stressful situations. Some situations are quite stressful and humans tend not to remember them very well, or even repress them altogether. If you put people in an environment where a crime occurred, for example, they have a far better chance of remembering what actually happened if they are using VR than if they're just remembering off the top of their heads. Now, this could increase both the accuracy of witness testimonies as well as the detail in which the witness remembers. These types of experiences have been used extensively in PTSD treatment for years and have proven to work wonders when applied correctly. So we're pretty sure that these work and would be very, very good for just kind of making witnesses remember better. Number two, remote jury sessions. A lot of you know just how boring it can be to be part of a jury. For example, I don't, because I'm from Croatia and we do not have a jury. In fact, we barely have a functioning legal system at all. But that's another topic. However, I was told it can be very boring, and I can definitely imagine you would have better things to do than sit around in a courtroom. But on the other hand, these things are really important. After all, it's someone's life you're deciding on. So imagine if you could conduct jury meetings from the comfort of your own home, in VR, while being able to view all the analytics and VR materials. That, to me, sounds like an ideal trial. But I think we still have a long way to go to get there. Number three, rehabilitation of prisoners. This one might not have a lot to do with courtrooms, but I believe it could be of great benefit. As I mentioned before, VR is an empathy machine. Imagine if you could have someone who committed a crime against someone else and put them in the shoes of the victim. This would be one of the most effective tactics to set the person on the right path, by making them feel truly sorry about what they had done. Now, there are many more examples that I could get into, but I think I proved my point in why VR is a technology we should see much more across the legal and justice system. Now, the decision if we will be seeing it more often or if this is just a one-off remains on the people involved in these systems. If you are someone that would like to create a VR experience for the courtroom or any other space, feel free to contact us. The link is down in the description of the video. For anyone else, make sure to hit that subscribe button on YouTube where we will be posting all sorts of AR, VR, and metaverse related stuff, even some AI, just sprinkle that in. Also, you can follow me or Tar on X and on LinkedIn. Links are below as well. Until the next video, have a great day and keep your headset lenses away from the sunlight. Or Baby Shark. Although I would not think they would play Baby Shark at a wedding.